please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? May be seated. Before we begin, I believe we have a, Mr. Ball, you want to introduce some new staff?
Thank you. Just for the board, I have two new staff members that will be joining us today. Both are named Tanya. Tanya Ramos is sitting to my right. She will be the new staff as a point person for the Board of Adjustment. She'll be reading these items into the record and doing her best to answer questions that come up. In addition to, we have Tanya Parker, who's going to be sitting in for Jennifer Jones doing the minute. But thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well, starting out, put you right on the spot, Ms. Ramos. Would Ms. Ramos from the Planning and Development Office please describe the function and operation of the Board of Zoning Adjustment to our applicants in the audience?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The Board of Adjustment is a quasi-judicial body established by the Board of County Commissioners under Chapter 62, Article 2, Division 4 of the Brevard County Code. The Board of Adjustment is empowered to hear requests for variances to the zoning regulations and the sign regulations in Chapter 62, Article 6, and Article 9. Pursuant to the Florida Rules of Appellate Procedure, any person or persons jointly or severally aggrieved by any decision of the Board of Adjustment may, within 30 days after the date the order is signed, apply to a court of competent jurisdiction for appropriate relief. Mr. Chairman, you have 8 items on your agenda today.
Thank you, Ms. Ramos. Would Mr. Higgins, our Vice Chair, please explain to the applicants in the audience the statutory definition of a hardship?
An undue hardship. A variance may be granted when it will not be contrary to the public interest, and where owing to a special conditions of little enforcement of the provisions of the chapter will result in unnecessary and undue hardship. The term undue hardship has a specific legal definition in this context, and essentially means that without the requested variance, the applicant will not have reasonable use of the subject property under existing development regulations. Personal medical reasons shall not be considered grounds for establishing undue hardship sufficient to qualify an applicant for a variance. Economic reasons may be considered only in instances where the landowner cannot yield a reasonable use and/or a reasonable return under the existing land development regulations. The applicant must answer a variance hardship worksheet with 6 questions. The Board of Adjustment will discuss these questions today with each applicant who has requested a variance.
Thank you, Mr. Higgins. I would now I would like to address our board members, the applicants, and our audience about the procedures that will be followed during these proceedings. The Board of Zoning Adjustment, as a quasi-judicial board with members appointed by the Brevard County Board of Commissioners, will utilize Robert's Rules of Order to conduct its proceedings today. The chair is asking that all board members not ask questions while the applicants are making their presentations. Once the applicants have completed their presentations, we will begin board questioning with the board member who represents the applicant's district. When concluded, questioning is open to the full district. When concluded, questioning is open to the full board. The chair will recognize each board member in turn. Once all board members have completed their questioning, we will then open the floor to the audience who may be here to speak concerning the applicant's application. Anyone from the audience wishing to speak will be given the opportunity to address the board once and only once. At the conclusion of public comment, the applicant will be given additional time for rebuttal, as well as to present their final comments. Once completed, no further comment will be heard from the applicant or the public. The action moves then to this side of the barrier here to the board for discussion and action. We will not use a timer for this meeting. Instead, we are asking each speaker to be concise in what they have to say. It is important that you stay on subject and avoid information that is not relevant. All persons speaking must provide their name and address for the public record. Those wishing not to verbally state their address may ask the clerk at the podium for an address card. Please fill it out and return it to the clerk. Are there any questions from the board on these procedures?
No.
Are there any questions regarding these procedures from the applicants? Are there any questions concerning these procedures from the audience? Seeing none, we will move to our next order of business, which is to approve the minutes of our previous meeting, which occurred in February. Is there a motion to approve?
You want to go ahead?
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second.
Mr. McCann has made a motion to approve. Mr. Higgins is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes are approved. We now move into the consideration of the variance applicants. Ms. Ramos,
Sure.
may we have the first applicant that is requesting a variance?
Okay, this is item number 21, PZ00097. Tyler Hobbs requests a variance from Chapter 62, Article 6, Brevard County Code, Section 62-1305, subsection 5A, to permit a variance of 3 feet from the required 20-foot front setback for a principal structure in an RU 111 single-family residential zoning classification. And this item is in District 1.
Very good. Will the applicant please step forward to the podium? Please state your name and address for the record.
David Murphy, 3650 Grant Line Road, Mims, Florida, 32754.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm that the evidence you are about to give this board is the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Please speak directly into the microphone, and how may we help you?
Okay. I'd like to get a variance on this property. It was built in 54, 55, I believe. I don't believe they had that criteria back then like they do now. I think it's 3 feet. Too close to the road. I'd like to have a variance.
Okay. Your application arises in District 1. Mr. Higgins, you have the floor for questions.
You have any more to say on that? Or no.
I don't believe
Okay.
so.
You're from the. I was a little confused by the drawings here.
Okay.
In the property. Of course, I was out there looking, took pictures, etc. The front of the property is where the problem is. For the house is what we're talking about. The present house.
Correct.
All right, but the land behind it seems to come into play here.
Yeah, but I want to split a lot off in the back.
Is that for building?
Correct. I'd like to build my daughter a house back there.
You already built the house, didn't you? The new one.
I built one on the corner, correct.
Oh, so there's another one. To
But
go
I believe I have,
on the shallow piece of land, the width.
yeah, I believe I have 80. I think you need 75 feet. I think I have 80 feet. I think you have a survey there that had a surveyor look at it. I believe I meet all the requirements. The only thing I don't think I met was the old house
The
was 3
clearance.
feet too close, but I can't change that. It was built
Yeah.
way before the. Were you the gentleman that came out there the other day?
Yes.
Oh,
I
okay.
guess your daughter told you. I seen her
Yeah.
in your front yard.
Yeah.
The new
Yeah, I want
house.
to build my youngest daughter a home in the rear of that property
Okay.
facing Irwin.
I don't see, by judging on the street, that I know it very well, and that, to me, that's a problem. I just thought she had said it was so she could have a bigger yard, but when she came out there the street, but my head kind of told me different, but
Okay.
It looked shallow for a house, but that's not my business, I guess. I don't personally see a problem with the setback the way it is. You can't do nothing about it. I mean, it's there, you're not going to tear the house down. But that may have to play with the others, I don't know. If someone else can see their point of view, maybe yourself. I'm done with mine for a moment.
Does anyone, any other board member have a question?
Yeah, I just want to get clear that the only reason that you are here is because this issue came up is because you got to split the lot.
The issue came up because what?
I said the only reason this issue came up is because you now have to split the lot and create two lots.
Yeah, I want to split the lot, right, and that was an issue that George had pointed out to me, that we didn't quite meet the setback on this property.
Because
So
of the
old house, yeah, built in the
existing
50s,
house.
right, and
Yeah, okay,
it's
I
just-
understand. There's
Yeah,
not
I
much
think
you can
that's
do
the only
about
thing
that.
holding me up.
Okay. Well, yeah, splitting the lot and the rest of that is not our business. I'm just trying to
Just-
figure out why you're here.
Correct,
What
the
created-
variance,
what
I
created the
believe,
issue,
yeah.
Okay.
It was
not a
just
problem.
hard following.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I do, I have a question. Your existing house that you have is on Old Dixie Highway, faces Old Dixie Highway?
Yes,
And then the lot split, the new lot that you're going to split off, faces Irwin Avenue?
correct.
So it'd have different access
Yes.
from that side street?
Yes, we have 80 feet of frontage, well, we will have 80 feet of frontage and about approximately a third of an acre on there. I think we need a quarter of an acre per that area and 75 feet of frontage.
Thank you.
Okay.
Just one more question, that the old house has already been sold.
Correct.
Yeah, he doesn't live there no more.
Yeah.
Just see.
Would you just step aside? Would you just step aside and let me ask is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak in favor or opposition to this variance request? Okay, seeing none, please return. Any final comments?
No, sir. Thank
Okay.
you.
Please.
I'd like to go ahead and make a motion, if there's no other comments, that we accept it per the drawings.
Do we have a
Second.
Mr. McCann seconds.
Survey.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I now call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. No opposed. Okay, your variance passes. Okay. Ms. Ramos,
Guess I can't get away from this.
did I correct this time? Maybe please have the next applicant.
Sure. Item number 2 is 22 PZ 00004. Robbie J. Roshan, request a variance from Chapter 62, Article 6, Brevard County Code, Section 62-1402, subsection 5A, to permit a variance of 1.7 feet from the required 25-foot front setback for a principal structure in a TR1 single-family residential zoning classification, and this item is in District 1.
Will the applicant please step forward? Please state your name and address for the record.
Robbie J. Roshan, 4919 Cambridge Drive, Mims, Florida, 32754.
Very good. Raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm that the evidence you are about to give this Board of Adjustment is the truth?
I do.
Very good. Please speak directly into the microphone, and how may we help you?
My property's been in there since 91. It is 23.3 feet off the easement. According to code, it's supposed to be 25. I bought the house in 94. A few years later, I decided to add an extension on my carport on the existing slab that was already there. under miscommunication, I didn't realize I had to have a permit, and I built it, and now was denied for a permit because of the setback, and I'm just requesting a variance to keep my structure and fix it.
Okay, thank you. Your application again arises in District 1. Mr. Higgins, you have the floor.
Well, going out there and look, there seems to be another shed behind that one, am I correct?
Yes.
Was it permitted too, or no? They
The
didn't say.
size of it, I didn't think I had
Okay.
to. I just put that in for code enforcement because I had to clean up my property. And I put a lot of my stuff in that area and make it as a shop. I tore down the building that I had put up there, which wasn't permitted, and to meet code.
Well, the favorable part is you drive up and down that circular street, and there's numerous identical to this. I mean, as far as encroachments and whatnot, that it's no different than quite a few of his neighbors. I actually couldn't print out this week, but I had pictures in my phone of the neighbors and whatnot that are very similar in as far as encroachment to the street. So the rest, anybody else have any comment?
Any other questions?
What are you trying to do with the property right now?
Just trying to bring it up to code and live the rest of my life there, I guess.
Are you trying to build something, or?
No, it is, I already built it. I didn't realize I needed a permit for the extension on my carport.
And the code enforcement is for what?
I needed to clean up my property. One of the neighbors complained, and I cleaned up my property, and according to code enforcement, I've met all the cleanup areas. I just need a permit for the carport so I can
And
move on, and
I'm just trying to get to how did
Can you show them that or no?
how did the system determine that you were 6.8% encroaching in the how did that happen? How did they find that out?
according to the drawings, my property is on a corner, and the way it kind of arches, it puts the corner of my house on far enough back from the easement, but the very center of my house is 23.3 feet instead of 25.
But I'm saying, did you come to apply for something?
No, I
where
was,
somebody had to come and measure or look at a survey?
I applied for a permit, and they turned me down saying that I was too close.
And the permit was for what?
The extension on the carport that I've already
Okay.
built.
That you've already built, and that's the one that's encroaching right now.
No, my house is encroaching, the carport's not.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Any others? Is there anyone in the audience who wishes? Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak in favor or opposition to this variance request? Okay, seeing none, please return. Any final comments?
Nothing, but if this goes through, I guess I'd like to apply for another permit.
Okay, very good. Thank you. You may have a seat.
Thank you.
Let's see, do we need a motion before we need a motion before we
Discussion, yeah.
discuss. So does anyone want to
I'll
make?
make a motion that we accept the variance of 1.7 feet short of the required 25 feet.
Chair will second.
Okay.
Any discussion by the members?
No.
I just think we should, put on record that we're going to require the permit if it's approved. If the variance is approved, we're requiring that he still goes ahead and applies for a permit.
So we will add the statement to the motion that this is contingent on receiving the permits.
requirements.
There's an open code enforcement issue anyhow,
Right,
Yeah.
right,
so they would have to.
We're good? Okay.
fine.
Vote in the motion.
Yep. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
None opposed? Your variance is approved. Get your permit. Only for the variance part. You have to meet all the other requirements. Okay. Ms. Ramos, may we have the next applicant, please?
Sure. Item number 3 is 22 PZ 00006. Brian W. and Tara D. Massey request variances from Chapter 62, Article 6, Brevard County Code, Section 62-1372, subsection 5A as follows: to permit a variance of 7.5 feet from the required 7.5-foot side setback for an accessory structure. Item 2, 4 feet from the required 7.5 feet rear setback for an accessory structure. Item 3, 3.4 feet from the required 7.5-foot side setback for an accessory structure. Item 4, 5.4 feet from the required 7.5-foot rear setback for an accessory structure. Item 5, Section 62-2100.5, subsection 1A, to permit a variance to allow 2 accessory structures to be located on a lot under 7,500 square feet in an RU 215 multifamily residential zoning classification, and this item is in District Number 2.
Okay. Please state your name and address for the record.
Yep, Brian Massey, 305 North Azure Lane, Cocoa Beach, Florida, zip code's 32931.
Okay. Raise your hand. Do you swear and affirm that the evidence that you're about to give this Board of Adjustment is the truth?
I do.
Okay. How may we help you?
Yeah, so purchased the property in question in August of last year. We filed for a permit to do some inside work and also build a deck in the back of the backyard. And that permit was denied due to 2 existing structures, both sheds, being too close to the property line. The house was built in 55, I believe, and it doesn't have a garage. So, and both of those structures have been there since at least 2008 that we know of. So, hoping to get a variance to leave those sheds where they are so we have storage and then build the deck in the backyard.
Okay. Your application rises in District 2. Mr. McCann, you have the floor.
I don't have any, too many questions. Just for clarification, you're currently renovating the pre-existing house.
That's right.
And when you purchased the property, those sheds were pre-existing
They were.
in the location they currently are.
Correct.
And you have neighbors with similar sheds in similar locations?
Yeah, I think almost everybody has sheds pretty much in those same spots.
Thank you.
You bet.
Any other questions from other board members?
Well,
Excellent.
last year, we had numerous questions of this come up in those areas about that, and I'm not so sure. I mean, if you say there's a lot in the area, I didn't get to visit this.
I visited it. I was going to save that for our open discussion.
Okay. All right, no more questions for me.
I have a final question.
Sure.
I noticed from the aerial photograph that those sheds back up against a fence or a wall. Is that a solid fence?
It is, yes. It's a wood fence.
And do you own it, or does the other neighbor own it?
The other neighbor owns it.
Okay.
We had a metal fence that we removed.
So it's been, oh, there was a metal fence interior to that on your
Correct.
side?
Mhm.
Okay. please step aside. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak in favor or opposition to this variance request? Seeing none? Any final comments?
No. Just thank you.
Okay, thank you. We now move to the board action here. Does anyone care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve all 5 variance requests as described in the application and depicted on the survey.
Second?
I second.
Mr. McCann made the motion, Mr. Boval seconded. Any discussion?
I visited the property, and I did notice several neighbors had very similar shed structures in the similar locations with very little to no setback. These shed structures were pre-existing before the house was purchased, and I haven't heard of any complaints. There's no opposition. I don't feel as though there's any safety issues, and I support approving the variance requests.
No.
My only comment is regarding the fence. At this point, the fence blocks any view of those sheds, or most of the view, from the opposite side. But that fence is owned by the other property. If that fence is removed, then we have visual into the yard.
The sheds, I mean, I didn't measure them, but they stand maybe about 10 foot high, so the fences themselves aren't currently blocking the view of the fence, the sheds, other than maybe the bottom of the sheds, but they're still in view from the
Okay.
neighboring properties.
Okay. Where do we go next? Sorry, hearing no more discussion from the board, I call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimous. Your variance is approved. Ms. Ramos, may we have our next applicant, please?
Item number 4 is 22 PZ 00007, Lockage Storage Llc. Request a variance from Chapter 62, Article 6, Brevard County Code, Section 62-1482, subsection is 5A 4B, to permit a variance of 1 foot from the required 5 feet side setback for a single-family residential structure in a BU1 general retail commercial zoning classification, and this is in District 4.
District 4 is, sorry, getting ahead of myself.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Could you state your name and address for the
My
record?
name's Glenn Sundin. I'm an attorney. My address is 560 Hidden Creek Drive, Merritt Island, Florida. And been a resident of Brevard County. I've graduated from Merritt Island High in 1972. Been here a long time.
I know I've had this question before, but I'm still going to swear you in even though you're an officer of the court.
That's okay. I'll swear in.
Do you swear that the evidence that you're going to give to this Board of Adjustment today is the truth?
Yes, so help me God.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm here today. I represent Lockage Storage Llc. They operate a self-storage facility on South Highway US 1, close to the Pineda Causeway. My client recently wanted, and they've owned the property since December of 2016, and they were seeking to expand their facilities, and they ran into some trouble with the Planning and Development Department in that they discovered that there was a infringement on the setback for an existing residential home that had been in place since 1936. And so they won't issue a building permit without having this matter resolved, and we were directed to get a variance for it. Now, my client currently uses the structure for business purposes. It's utilized as an office, and they plan on doing that in the future. The buildings that they're intending to build have no impact on this variance at all. The problem really is and I've got some photos. I don't know if it might help better illustrate and visualize if that would help the members.
Mr. Sundin, as long as you're able to leave them with us, because it'll be part of the record. If you,
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay, that's
Okay.
fine.
May I approach?
Mhm.
Okay.
These are all the same?
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
I made one for each member, I assume. And I think it helps illustrate the issue here. And primarily the problem is a result of the fact that it's not the whole structure itself which is in violation, it's just a northeast corner of the building. And so the first one is a picture of the building. We believe it's at least close to 100 years old. Also, as you can see on the south side of the building, there's a large oak tree which has probably been there equally as long. And the second photograph is a depiction on the back side of the house and that northeast corner, which is in violation. The way the property line, the reason there's a violation here is that the way the property line runs. And it's closer to the building on the northeast corner, less than a foot. So we're asking for a variance for less than a foot on that northeast corner. And we believe we also qualify for hardship that was explained in my application. I think we met all 6 elements. So without the variance, then we run into problems. And the real problem we thought about some other ways to get around this, but ultimately it would require destroying the building and/or destroying the tree. And such a nice building and such a nice tree, we think we want to keep the building for business purposes, and the tree just adds a lot of aesthetics to it. With that, I'm open to any questions.
Okay, this arises in District 4, Mr. Bogle.
Really, I have no questions because it's either you get rid of the building or we give you a variance.
That's
and,
true.
And,
It's a
and that's out.
building, in
The
fact.
building has been there forever, so.
It has.
That's pretty straightforward
And
to me.
we really can't tell you how this all arose. I mean, the building's been...
Well, the
there so
building's
long.
been there before the code, so that's as simple as that, so no problem.
Any other board members have questions?
No.
Okay, seeing none. Sir, could you step aside? Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak in favor or opposition to this variance request? You come forward, sir. Same routine. I need to name and address and swear you in. So name and address for the record.
Sure. Robert Paul Higgins. My address is 6425 Anderson Way, Melbourne, Florida. Our property abuts theirs from the
Okay.
backside.
Do you swear that the evidence that you're about to give this board is the truth?
Yes, sir.
Yep, okay. Please, you have the floor.
Sure. Lockage Storage has been a good neighbor. I just wanted to inquire a little bit more. Our properties abut, it would be on their west side. And I just wanted to know if anything was going to affect anything on our mutual wall. I'm hearing that it's only going to affect, it's more informational than anything. I got a notice like everyone else. I didn't see any diagrams or drawings. I just want to know a little bit more if it's going to affect our adjacent wall. That's all I wanted to know, and I haven't heard anything.
Okay, Looking at our attorney, is this some discussion that takes place in front of the board, or is this a private matter?
It's probably something that they could address between each other after the hearing is over. I think that the public comment is reserved for any comments the public may have about this variance being granted or denied.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, just the structure that is needing the variance is along the northern property line, which should not affect anything on the western boundary, and you can get with the applicant after this meeting to go over, if you have any specific questions.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the audience regarding this variance application? Seeing none, sorry, any final comments?
I have no further comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. May I have a seat? Should we, anyone want to make a motion?
Yes, I make a motion that we approve the variance as it's depicted on the survey.
I'll second that.
Okay, the motion has been made and seconded to approve the variance. We move to discussion. Start with you, Mr. Rowell.
Well, the structure that's being improved does not impact anything. The only reason they didn't get a permit is because of a building that's about 100 years old that's been in that spot for that long. And the only choice we have is to destroy the building or give them the variance. And the precedence that we've set, we've never had anybody destroy a building, pre-existing building that existed before the code. So that's my comment.
Very good. Any other comments from the board? Okay, I call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Your motion passes unanimously. Or, I'm sorry, the motion passes unanimously, and your variance is approved. Ms. Ramos, do we have the next applicant, please?
Sure. Item number 5 is 22 PZ 00008. Joyce A. Hayes Trust requests a variance from Chapter 62, Article 6, Brevard County Code, Section 62-1339, subsection 5B, to permit a variance of 5 feet from the required 10-foot side setback for an accessory structure in an EU estate use residential zoning classification. This item is in District 5. And for the record, we have received 2 letters in opposition.
Okay, I need to, could you state your name and address for the record, please?
Joyce Hayes, 763 Malibu Lane, Indialantic, Florida, 32903.
Okay, raise your right hand, please. Do you swear that the evidence that your testimony that you're going to give the board today is the truth?
Yes.
Okay. How may we help you?
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for having me today. I blew up the survey just because I thought it might help. What I'm requesting is a variance to the side setback on this wall or on this property line, so that I can put a proposed accessory structure adjacent to the pool, so a pool bath, a cabana, storage, that kind of thing. There is a safety requirement that you can't have any structure within 5 feet of the interior of a pool so that you have enough walkway around there. And kind of a functional building, functional sort of size is closer to 14 to 15 feet. And in order to get that space, I'm proposing to go 5 feet into the 10-foot easement. I would not impede on the public utilities easement. Now, there is a pre-existing concrete slab that is there now. So when I would go put in the permit, I would propose cutting the cement so that public utility easement is back to green space instead of having a slab on it now. I purchased the house in 2016, and the pool and I purchased the house in 2016, and the pool and the existing slab were already there. I do have some pictures that I'd like to share with everyone. Is that okay? Those pictures are just from Google Earth. So I'm proposing that this is a hardship. My house is one of the smaller ones in my neighborhood, which is why within code, I still have the floor space and the square footage that would enable an accessory structure. I also have 2 ancient oaks on the tree that have very extensive root structures. They're, an arborist estimated one of them was about 85 and the other one was over 100 years old. If you look at that, pretty much every pool in my neighborhood is right behind the house, so they have economic opportunity to improve around the pool. Mine, I believe because of the trees, but I can't verify that, the house was built in 1968, the pool is offset, which is why it's pushed to that left side of the property in the back. So I'm requesting a variance so that I can put up a cabana structure for those reasons and those noted in my application.
Your application rises in District 5, which happens to be mine, and I have a couple questions.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, can I just interject for a second? So I just wanted to clarify some information that the applicant stated. There is a 5-foot public utility easement on the side of the property. There is 5 foot of concrete that will be removed. If the variance gets approved, the encroachment is a 5 foot into the 10-foot side setback, not into the easement. The proposed structure cannot go inside of that easement without vacating that easement first.
Thank you. I understand that.
That was going to be part of my
mine too.
questioning. Let me reiterate that, make sure I have it right. There's a 10-foot setback or 10-foot, is it a 10-foot utility easement?
No, it's a 10-foot side setback according to the EU zoning district.
Okay,
In addition to that, there's a 5-foot utility easement that is on top of that setback,
okay.
which there's concrete in there that'll have to be removed because it's not allowed in that easement.
Okay. That answers the questions that I was going to ask you.
Okay.
I did not visit your property, but I did use the little Google Walking Man and peered into your backyard from the street, and noticed that there's a chain link fence and that, yeah, there is a open space between the fence and where you're going to put it in. I think you answered the technical questions that I was going to ask, so I'd have no further questions on that.
Okay.
Do any of the other board members have questions?
It's just for clarification again. I'm looking at the satellite image or the Google Earth image, and I see the pool which runs perpendicular from the house. You want to put a 15-foot by 32-foot structure between the pool and the property
Yes.
line on the side of the house.
Yes, sir. And that's a not to exceed. I don't actually have plans because that's a not to exceed. I don't actually have plans because I didn't want to pay for plans until I knew what my footprint was.
So your proposed structure is 15 feet wide. If that's built, that will then, you have 15 foot of structure up to the setback in which you're requesting the variance
Correct.
for, up to 5 feet to the.
Correct. And I'm going to have to get it designed and permitted so it's the right distance away from the main structure. I think there's a requirement there as well. But I don't have plans, so I haven't done that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Clearance.
I have one more question, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Is this structure 1 story or 2 stories?
Well, it's not designed. My intent would be 1 story, kind of in keeping with the house. My house is 1 story. But I don't, like I said, I don't have any plans yet.
Thank you.
Would that be a total of 15 feet that you said, or 10?
The structure, from what I understand, would be 15 feet wide with a 5-foot encroachment into the side setback.
Into the side, okay. Is there any way you can make that 10?
So I've looked at kind of how to make it a functional space, and it's not functional because that would push into the pool safety requirement.
No, not really.
No? And I went online and I did some research on kind of standard sizes for kind of overhead structures
If you got
and
the room,
pool
it'd be good.
baths. And that's kind of equivalent to a standard size according to the internet.
I have no more questions.
Any other questions? Okay. Any final comments?
Well, I guess I know there were a couple of letters that were sent in. Should I address some of the questions and comments in there?
You'll have a opportunity to rebut anything you'll have a second opportunity to
Okay.
come back to the microphone.
Okay. Then you want me to step aside?
Yeah, just have a seat. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak in favor or in opposition to this variance request? Okay, seeing none in person, do we read into the record the letters, or they just become part of it?
They're part of the record, and you can take appropriate actions as you see fit.
Have you seen these letters?
I just read them beforehand.
Okay.
If there's nobody
They're
else.
part of the record.
Okay.
You may, in final comments, you can address
Sure.
these letters and any other things that you want to say.
Sure. So first of all, I did want to thank the folks in the Planning and Appraisal Board. I worked with Mr. Peter Martin, and he was very helpful in helping navigate this. So thank you for your team that's doing that. I did just receive the letters and read them right before. On the letter from Ms. Tupper, one of the statements in there was that there are not any other structures on my street. If you look on the Google Earth, there are actually at least 3 accessory structures that you can see from the aerial views that are in there. They may not be visible from the street. Part of that is that I have a much smaller footprint on my home than most of the homes on my street, and so maybe you can't see that, or I don't know why, but there are actually 3 additional structures, and I put arrows on those Google Earth pictures so you can see them. I apologize, one of them, I think the logo is right over the structure in the printout, but it's verifiable. As I stated, I don't have plans for a pool house now, because if I don't know the footprint, I didn't want to go spend all the money on plans until I knew what I could do. And one of the in Ms. Tupper's letter, she stated that it might block the view, but should I not get a variance, then I will continue to pursue putting up something, and I'll try to figure out an alternative. And so I don't know that the view issue is going to be, something will go up. Hopefully I can get the variance and put something that looks in keeping with the neighborhood and is high quality. But I'm really have a need to kind of put a pool bath out there and some more stuff. And so I respectfully appreciate her opinion, but I'm still going to pursue getting a permit for something, depending upon how this board rules. And then, in the letter from the Thomases, I'm not aware that is a requirement on sight lines from inside my neighbor's house. There may be, I'm not aware of that. And so I haven't really assessed whether or not, or how any structure there would block their view. But if I think about if I didn't get the variance and I put up a structure, their sight line, I think I would have the same, they would have the same concern. I don't know how I can reasonably improve my property from an economic perspective and get a reasonable return, and kind of bringing my house up to more on par with the houses in the neighborhood. So that would be my responses to those. I did speak with all of my neighbors, and everybody in the other areas around them that I spoke with were fully supportive of it.
Okay. Well, thank you. You may have a seat.
Okay.
Since it rises with me in District 5, I'm going to make a motion to approve the variance. Do I hear a second?
I have a second.
Mr. Boval seconds. And have any discussion? Let me start the discussion. It's my district. I guess I'm okay with the idea that there's at least a 5-foot setback between her, or a 5-foot clearance between her fence and where this building is going to go. I realize it's not 10 feet, but it is waterfront property at a premium, and I think she should
Mr.
have her
Chairman,
enjoyment.
can I please add something at this time before we go further?
Yes, sir.
In looking at the survey and hearing the applicant, there's noted a proposed porch towards the river on the side of this proposed building, which has not been designed. So I just wanted to call it to your question or your concern that if this is built as shown on the survey, are you going to include the proposed porch to also get a variance, or are we only looking at the 15 by 32 proposed building? Because if you limit it to the building, she will have to come back again to add the porch onto the building.
I can address that. So what we did was we only advertised for a 5-foot from the 10-foot setback. If the porch encroaches into any other setback, then another variance would have to be requested. So that's just to put on notice, is that the only variance that the board is reviewing is the 10-foot from the, or I should say the 5-foot variance from the 10-foot setback
For the primary structure,
for the accessory structure,
not the porch.
and not the porch.
Okay. So noted as part of the motion. Any discussion?
Yes, I'd like to address some things. I appreciate what you said, that this is a premium lot, and it's riverfront, and you speculatively, you most likely moved there for that waterfront view. I'm going to have to also appreciate the neighbors' reason for moving there and their opposition. The setbacks are in place for a reason, and then one of those reasons would be for the neighbors' well-being, and I'm concerned that a structure encroaching 5 feet into the setback would affect the view and the well-being of the neighbor's house. So I personally, am not supportive of your variance request for those reasons.
I'd like to comment. Yeah, I don't think it sets precedents for the future, but like you're saying, for the neighbors. We've had a lot of discussion on these issues in this area in the past few years, and I'm not in favor of it for the adjustment.
Any other discussion?
No.
In that case, I will call the vote. We're talking, all in favor?
Aye.
And chair is also in favor. All opposed?
Aye.
Nay.
So So the vote is 2-2, so that is a denial.
Or we can table it to try and get a full board for a different vote.
You could rehear or open it up for a new discussion and new vote. That's up to the chair.
At this time, or when we have a fuller board?
I'll defer to the county attorney's office on.
What was the last question?
Just our actions here, which it's a tie vote. Is it
Right.
denied flat out, or can we table it to see if we may have a change vote next time?
One moment.
We've done both in the past.
Okay.
But this
I
is
think
a
it
full
would be up
board.
to the chair to make the decision whether to table it or not. So you could table it potentially, but the 2-2 right now would be a denial.
Okay. Ms. Hayes, do you understand what we're talking about here procedure-wise? A tie vote is a denial, or we can make a motion to table it until the next meeting to see if there is a change in number of members to get an odd number, or, but it would continue the proceedings until next month. And I'm asking you what you're in favor of.
Should I
I-
approach? So I would prefer to table.
You have to come up to the dais.
Yeah.
So as she does that, Mr. Chairman, what I would tell you to recognize is that if you do decide to table this item, you need to make sure that there's a reason for the table, for the applicant to provide additional information to help address your concerns.
Right.
Can I have a question? My question is, at present, we do have a full board. We don't have another appointee, am I correct or incorrect?
I believe this is the,
This is the full board at the
yes,
moment.
this is the full
What
board.
would change from full board this meeting to full board next meeting? Chance to talk it over?
An appointment or an absence?
They wouldn't have any wherewithal what happened here.
Got it, that's not a guarantee, so I think it needs to stay the way it is, a denial.
Okay. Based on a consensus of the opinions here, we're going to call it a denial.
May I ask a question?
I
Or is it,
The proceedings
that's against the
are over.
rules? Okay.
If it's a procedural question or something, you can ask after the meeting is over.
Okay. Should I
Thank you.
reach out to you for the question after?
After we
You-
adjourn.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
Ms. Ramos, may we have the next applicant, please?
Item number 6 is 22 PZ 00009. Honaker Family Trust requests a variance from Chapter 62, Article 6, Brevard County Code, Section 62-2118, subsection D3, to permit a variance of 5.8 feet from the 14-foot allowed projection, which is 20% the width of the waterway, for a boat dock in an RU 111 single-family residential zoning classification. This item is in District 2, and we have one letter in favor.
Thank you. Would the applicant please step forward? Could you
afternoon.
state your name and address for the record?
My name is Peter Honaker. I live at 305 Richland Avenue in Merritt Island, Florida, 32953.
Okay. Do you swear that the evidence that you are going to give the board today, or the testimony that you're going to give the board today, is the truth?
I do.
Okay. How may we help?
I'm requesting a variance for the allowed projection of my dock into the width of the waterway. 11 years ago, I requested a building permit for my dock. I was allowed to project a maximum of 14 feet into the waterway. I submitted the design drawing and a property survey and was granted a permit. And then the dock was constructed, and they had a finished survey and it was submitted, and the dock was approved. And last fall, I requested a building permit to put a roof on my existing dock. And the design drawings and a survey were submitted, and the permit was granted. The roof was built, and a new survey was submitted showing the roof did not extend any further into the canal than the existing dock. I was then informed that my existing dock was no longer compliant with the code, that the physical dimension of the projection into the canal didn't change, but the allowed projection of 14 feet was now being taken from the property line rather than the seawall. So, because of the reinterpretation of the code from what it was when the dock was built, now that you're saying it's out of compliance. That's all, sir.
Okay. Your application arises in District 2, Mr.
I had the benefit to visit your property and take a look. Thank you for granting me access so I can have a better visual on what we're dealing with. When you say the seawall extends further out into the canal than the property line, that seawall is no further out than any other seawall down your entire canal. Is that the case?
Seawalls were put in before any of the houses were built.
Right, and your property line is basically 5 feet in from the seawall, but for all intents and purposes, it extends through your rear property.
Correct. I maintain everything up to and including the seawalls.
Right.
Even though my property line isn't.
And then your dock does not extend out any further than any of your neighbor's docks?
No, sir.
Okay.
Other than one. There's one that's a little bit narrower, but the rest are all greater than mine.
And your canal is a dead-end canal? It's not
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
And at the far end, it gets to be about maybe 40 feet instead of 70 feet for what it's projected.
And plenty of width there for boats to pass in both directions behind
Correct.
your dock?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other board member have questions?
You said it's 40 feet wide, the canal?
Oh, no, the canal there,
70?
per the plat, is 70 feet wide. It's actually 64 point something.
Does your neighbor across from you have a dock too?
Yes, sir. But there is sufficient
Passageway?
for two boats to go through it.
Okay.
There's quite a,
Okay.
Anything else? Ask you to take a seat for a second. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak in favor or in opposition to this variance request? Okay, seeing none.
Hold on. Do we have a letter? That's approval anyhow, huh?
We do have one letter that is in favor, that is becoming part of the record. I don't know if you've seen it.
I haven't seen it, sir.
It's in favor, so you can get a copy afterwards or after the meeting if you prefer. Do you have any final comments before the board takes action?
No, sir, I don't believe so.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I mean, have a seat.
Thank you.
This arises in District
2.
Does anyone care to make a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve the variance request as depicted on the survey.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
I just want to state that this gentleman has done everything the right way. We don't always see that. You got the permits for the dock originally, it was approved. You got the permit for the roof. The roof doesn't extend any further out. It's constructed as in that application. And I don't see how this pre-existing issue should be denied.
Any other discussion?
No.
I'd like to make a comment, and that is, I took this view and expanded it out on Google, and up the canal at Fourth Place, there is actually a constriction where the canal narrows down to maybe 30 feet, 40 feet, single boat passage choke point for all the other docks that are further up the canal. I don't see that this makes a constriction that's any narrower than a natural one that already exists elsewhere in the canal. So I also, there's a bit of a rule interpretation here in that the waterway is 66 feet or 64, whatever it said, versus 70 feet on the survey. And so our restrictions are based on the survey, not the waterway. And that's not, based on the survey, I don't think his dock would be out of the 20% compliance. So, any other discussion? All right, I'll call the vote.
Waiting for you.
All those in favor?
All in favor?
Oh, I'm sorry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed. Your variance is approved. And you can see the staff after the meeting for a copy of the letter if you prefer, if you want. Ms. Ramos, may we have the next applicant, please?
Sure. Item number 7 is 22V00001. Mark T. and Linda G. White request a variance from Chapter 62, Article 6, Brevard County Code, Section 62-1402, subsection 5A, to permit a variance of 3.2 feet from the required 25-foot front setback for principal structure in a TR1 single-family residential zoning classification. This item is in District 1. Prior to the meeting, I was asked to point out to the board that in my staff comments, I made a reference to an administrative approval from 1993. That was 4 lots to the south. That was not on the lot we're discussing today.
Okay. The applicant has already stepped forward. Could you state your name and address for the record? You may want to pull the microphone down to make it easier for you there.
My name is Erica Romero. My address is 4870 Deer Lake Drive East, Jacksonville, Florida, 32246.
Okay. You raise your right hand, please. Do you swear that the evidence and testimony that you are presenting to the board today is the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How may we help?
So I'm here on behalf of Linda White and Timberline Construction Group. Ms. Linda is part of the Rebuild Florida program. Her house was damaged by Hurricane Irma, and she got a grant to have it replaced. Timberline Construction Group, the company that I work for, is replacing the home. We pulled permits for the replacement and have for the demolition of the old home that was damaged and to replace it with a brand new mobile home. The home was demolished and replaced, but when placing the home, the installer placed it 3.2 closer to the front, encroaching into the 25-foot setback. We found out whenever we ordered the as-built, it came to our attention. So now we've got a mobile home that's fully installed. The electrical, plumbing, HVAC, everything has passed inspection. And we also have a ramp that's fully built and passed inspections. So moving the house would cost now a large amount of, it would have a large financial impact, plus it would be time consuming to have it all breaking down and tore down to push it back the 3.2 feet that it needs to be. So we're here to just request the variance to keep it where it is now.
Mr. Chair, can I just bring something to your attention? George and I were going over the file, and Mr. and Mrs. White did not authorize Ms. Moore as the representative. There's a Daniel Burnham that is authorized, but unfortunately,
Correct.
Ms. Moore is not authorized per the property owner, and that's what we were required to do. Mr. Burnham cannot delegate that authority from the property owner. So we will need to get an authorization from the property owner to give Ms. Moore the proper authorization to represent her in this public meeting. Okay, so I'm sorry, I didn't realize that. So if you can come up to the podium and let the board know that you're giving the authority to have Ms. Moore represent you, that's fine.
Do we need, I guess we need to swear her in.
You do.
Could you state your name and address for the
Yes,
record,
I'm
please?
Melinda G. White, 170 Vanguard Circle, Cocoa, Florida, 32926.
Okay, are you able to? Okay. Do you swear that the testimony and statements that you're going to give the board today are the truth?
Yes.
Okay. So you are the property owner?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And you are authorizing Ms. Moore to
Yes.
speak on your behalf?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
So, Ms. Moore, you're now authorized.
Thank you. So I think that I said all I needed to say. Do you guys have any questions?
The only thing that's changed is the footprint, correct?
Yes, just, yep, that's it. And all the other setbacks are met. It's just that front, and it's 3.2 feet.
Any other questions?
Just out of curiosity, you said the installer made a mistake, is it?
Correct.
And didn't place it where it was on the survey?
Yes, that is correct. I guess his crew measured wrong when measuring from the center line of the road.
Okay, thank you.
Does that mean that the center line of the road is not where the, if there's a white
Everything is
stripe or-
correct. Everything was correct. It was the crew made a mistake, and it wasn't caught until we received the as-built survey.
Okay. Any other questions?
No.
Okay. Please step aside for a second. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak in favor or opposition to this variance request? Okay, seeing none, come back up. Any final comments?
No, I just wish to say that if approved, applicant Ms. Linda White and her husband could go home much, much faster than if denied.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve so this young lady can get home for the survey depicted by the applicant.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, Mr. Higgins has made a motion to approve. Mr. Boval is second. Do we have any board discussion on this variance request? Hearing none, I will call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? None.
Go home and make dinner.
Variance is approved. Again, Ms. Ramos,
Okay.
we have the next applicant, please.
Item number 8 is 22V00003. Brevard County requests a variance from Chapter 62, Article 9, Brevard County Code, Section 62-3316, subsection 4B4, subsection B4, to permit a variance of 10 feet from the required 15-foot side or eastern setback for a freestanding sign in a BU1 general retail commercial zoning classification, and this item is in District 2.
Okay. Would whoever represents the applicant step forward, please? this case, the applicant is Brevard County, and you are?
My name is Tim Lowry. I live at 3660 Weber Road, Grantville, Cary, Florida, 32950.
Okay. Do you swear that the testimony and evidence that you are going to give the board today is the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay. You have the floor.
All right, thank you. The reason I'm here today is what we're doing at it's County Service Complex, Merritt Island. It's at 2575 North Courtney Parkway, Merritt Island, just south of the 528 overpass. And what we have is the County Service Complex. And what we're doing is replacing the sign that is in front of the, showing what the building is, identification for the building. And what we're asking for is a variance. There's a required 15-foot setback from the property line. And what we have on this property is, it's at a skew, the road is, so if you look at the south side of the property, it's closer than the north side of the property by 10 feet. At the south side of the property, if we put the sign, it would be back 28 feet, 0.29. And if we get the variance of 10 feet, we would still be moving, we would be going back 28.84 from the edge of pavement. So what we're looking for is a variance of 10 feet. The pre-existing sign that was there before that we tore down, or was falling down, that we took out, was already in the same location. So we're not going to be any further north. In fact, east or closer to the property line would actually be a little bit further away from the property line. So, when going through site plan approval, there was some concerns with Natural Resource about the trees, the location of the trees, and they didn't want us to remove any trees either. So there's a lot of oak trees there, some palm trees. So the best location is where we went out there and looked at it, and this is the best visibility because of that. And I think it's, the idea is the setback from the road is 20, well, let's say the edge of pavement to the property line is 23.84 feet at where the sign location is, or which would be the north end of the property, where it's only 13 feet at the south side of the property. So we'll be in line with where it would be if it was at the south side. So that's what we're looking for, the variance for the 10 feet.
Arises in District 2?
I did visit the
In your
site.
packages, there was there was a picture showing the location of where the existing sign was, and we've got it spray painted where the new sign would be in relation to that.
Okay.
The sign itself is, according to the survey, 50 feet from the intersection,
Correct.
and it would be set back off Courtney 28 feet.
Yes, roughly 28.84 feet off of the edge of pavement.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Nothing that infringes on traffic here at all.
No.
And this is going back in the same location as the previous sign?
No.
No.
No, it's a little bit further south. If, like I said, in the picture you can see where the other one came out, where the dirt is disturbed. We're going where the drawing is, so it's just a little bit. There's a tree there, and we kind of situated behind a tree so that you can see it from either side.
Okay, but it's in the same vicinity?
It's same vicinity.
Step aside, let me ask for, is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak in favor or opposition to this variance request? Seeing none. Back. Any final comments?
No, nothing that I've already said.
Okay, thank you, Mee.
Okay.
Gentlemen, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve the variance request as depicted in the survey.
Second.
Mr. Higgins seconds. Any further discussion?
I just want to state that I visited the property and walked it. The location of the sign will not obstruct any visibility for cars going up and down Courtney or the side street Heidi. I'm familiar with the signage on Courtney, and it's set back much further than most of the signs because it has that, that area, that no man land between the street and the property line. So I'm fine with it. I don't think there's any issues.
Another question.
Mr. Higgins?
I guess I should have asked if there's lighting on this sign.
Yes, there will be lighting in the sign.
Okay. The other sign the old one had lighting too?
Correct.
Okay.
It did.
Any further discussion? Okay. Call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous by the board. Your variance is approved. Mr. Ramos, I think we've finished our applicants, haven't we? All right.
The county attorney's office is going to do a presentation for Sunshine, so I'll turn the floor over to her.
Okay. Can everyone hear
Going to do
me?
it from there?
Yeah, I was going to just do it from here. Otherwise, I mean, I can go up there if you guys would rather, but.
Nope. Go to it.
Okay. All right. Let me just get my. Okay, so I am here to do a presentation on the sunshine laws that apply to wards such as yours. Let's make sure this works. Okay. Yes, it does. All right. Okay, so I have a PowerPoint prepared, which will be on the screen as well as in your agenda packets. But so basically, we're going to go over the sunshine law, what it is, how it applies to you guys. And so to start out, the Government in the Sunshine Law, also called the Open Meetings Law, provides a right of access to governmental proceedings. And it's very important. It's enshrined in our state constitution. And so here's the 3 basic requirements that you guys need to be aware of. First of all, the meetings of public boards, councils, and commissions must be open to the public. Reasonable notice of such meetings must be given, and the minutes of the meetings must be taken. So the law requires, once again, with this open meeting requirement, that any gathering, whether formal or casual, of 2 or more members of the same board to discuss any matter on which a foreseeable action may be taken by that board, council, or committee. It doesn't matter where the location of the meeting is, boardroom versus the golf course. So we point this out because if 2 of you guys or more are in any setting, whether it's here or elsewhere, and you start to talk about any matter that's coming before this board, that would be a violation. So don't do that. All right. So just expounding upon this, 2 or more members may not take action on or engage in private discussion of committee business. This also applies to any written communications, phone calls, emails, text messages, or commenting on Facebook to each other or other social media about any board matters. You can get together and discuss things that are not a board matter or not related to this board. You can talk about anything that you've seen on TV or whatever's going on in your life that doesn't pertain to this board, but you can't talk about any matters that are coming before the board. Also, there's a practice of distributing position papers that some people engage in to other members prior to discussion. That's not technically a violation if it doesn't solicit comments, but the county staff, we do discourage that just because it can lead to further discussion that would then violate. Okay, so reasonable notice requirement. The meetings have to provide reasonable notice to the public that they're taking place. We need to have the time and place of the meeting, and the agenda, if available, needs to be published as well. And the committee can discuss matters that are not on the agenda, but the Attorney General has advised that any formal action on those matters should be postponed due to this notice issue. All right, so as far as the minutes go, they don't need to be a verbatim transcript, just a summary of what happened and, what people said. They need to be promptly recorded per state law, and they need to be open to public inspection. There's not a specific time frame, but they shouldn't be delayed. I believe the statute just sort of gives a prompt sort of description. All right, so a question: can two members of the same public board socialize outside of public meetings? And the answer is yes, but like we said, you can't discuss any matters that come before the board, and just be careful to avoid the appearance of impropriety. It's important, that we maintain everything being above board. So now meetings with staff. You guys can meet with staff to discuss committee business. That's totally fine. Staff members are not members of the board, but you can't use staff members as a conduit to communicate with other board members. You can't say, oh, hey, county attorney, here's what I really want to tell, one of the other board members. Can you tell them for me? That's not allowed. Okay. Participation in other public meetings. If you want to attend a public meeting of another public body and express your opinion, you can do so, even if other committee members may be in attendance. There just needs to be no discussion or debate between the committee members. All right, so now turning to a similar sort of area of this public records sunshine law sphere. So turning to Chapter 119 of the Florida statutes, this defines what a public record is, and as you can see, it's very broad. All papers, letters, maps, books, tapes, photographs, films, sound recordings made or received in connection with the transaction of official public business by any agency. And that includes all correspondence or email made or received by a board or committee member in connection to the business of that board. All of that is a public record, and there's no such thing as unfinished business in this category. So any kind of drafts that you're maintaining are subject to public record. Just going on about that, the public has a right to access records pertaining to public business. Chapter 119 does exempt certain records from disclosure, and those requests are reviewed on a case-by-case basis to ensure compliance. If you receive a request for a public record, you need to forward that onto staff immediately, and they will assist in taking care of that. All right. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask, or, I can always be open via email to you guys as well. So. Mm-hmm. Talking to the applicant? Not under any kind of public record or sunshine law situation. So basically, the sunshine law is covering what you guys are doing with each other in terms of board matters. So, you guys can't meet up for lunch and start talking about, oh, so what did you think of, this board item? How are you going to vote on this? Can't talk to each other about those things. However, you could talk to staff, or you can talk to, the board applicant when you go to visit to ask them questions about the property or anything like that. Like, that isn't an issue in terms of a violation of sunshine law. Anything else?
You have a question?
I don't.
Previously, I asked a question about identification, and you were going to check. We never heard anything. Like, I've heard you say you went out and visited, talked to the person. I've been out, every time I go out there, like gentleman the other day, his daughter come out as soon as I stopped and looked at their property. And they said, but liability. Well, good news. I mean, we aren't liability to you either way. We have to be represented somewhere or another because of the fact we're doing something for the county. So we should be able to have something, piece of paper saying that you are during this term or whatever, to show the people that we're not from anywhere, because today people are very hesitant of anything.
I see. Yeah.
And I don't blame them.
Let me, and I apologize, it probably slipped through the cracks. I know many things that are going on. Let me run that up the flagpole to see if there's, something that we can give you as far as a letter of some sort identifying you as a volunteer member of the Board of Adjustment.
It's more of an embarrassment, to tell you the truth. I mean, you're giving your time up, and I mean, I travel like 58, 60 miles sometimes to these places, and then somebody questions you, you feel kind of guilty, you know? But
Kind of badge would probably work if you could get it.
that's what I said.
Yeah, like I said, let me run that up the flagpole. The issue is that you're volunteers and not employees of the county. So there's a fine line of.
There isn't, because of the fact we still would be liable to the county in some regards. We're not, am I wrong or right? We're representing the county.
We're not going to say, we're going to say, well, I'm representing the county and the board. And you need to be able to identify yourself as that.
But I'm asking the legal portion of it, we are a liability.
So I don't know how that would relate, I guess, at the end of the day,
Negate?
to a decision to issue some sort of ID badge or some other documentation. That's really more of a staff policy determination than a legal one, I think. But
Let me talk it over with the county attorney's office and see if there's a path to get you something.
Yeah. And, if the question comes up to say, well, there are hundreds of volunteers, well, I don't know if any other board where the members are required to go out and visit people's property.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you, you are not required to go out and visit the site.
Well, why would you make a comment then? If you can't see things as they are, I mean.
Well,
there's other ways we do it.
Yeah, it's your choice to go out to the site. A lot of times, your review should be based on what's presented in a public forum. So what you do outside of that is up to you.
Because neighborhoods have a lot of, in the making of differences to what occurs.
Absolutely. I've been doing this for many years. I will tell you that you can only get so much from an aerial
Yes,
and
and
from
they're
Google
old.
Maps. But going out and physically, reviewing the property, absolutely.
And that has been the general practice as long as I've been around. If I can get enough from the documents that's before me, fine.
Absolutely.
But if I
Yeah,
can't,
it's easy enough.
Go out and take a look.
Absolutely. No, I hear your frustration. I will work on it, and hopefully I'll have an answer for you the next time we meet next month.
Okay.
I have a question about the board membership. What is going on with District 3? Do we have any,
I have no idea.
who
The
would
commissioner.
approach the
Do they have an alternate?
District 3 commissioner and ask
When
her about
Mr.
an
Rhodes
appointment?
resigned, he spoke to the District 3 commissioner, but that's who he resigned to. So he knows there's a vacancy.
It's up to the commissioner to decide, I guess.
Yes, it is.
Nothing we can do to push it on?
All staff's position is that we notify them when there's a vacancy.
I believe that's the end of our agenda for today. Meeting is adjourned.
Okay.
Thank you.
The opinions expressed by any member of the public during any period of public comment do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, or the program sponsor, and are solely those of the presenter. The Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, and the program sponsor hereby expressly disclaim any and all responsibility or liability for any defamatory or slanderous statements expressed by any member of the public during any such period.